guys, so I am live. That's great to know. So I've had, oh hold on, something's just popped up in front of me. Customize your dashboard on Live Producer. Isn't this great? When you're live and you're just about to do a video, something pops up. Oh, that's nonsense. Okay, so let me see. Your live stream is experiencing performance issues. Oh, I don't know what that is. Dismiss. Other. Yeah. Let me see. Save that. Oh, watch later. Close that and close that. Let me see now. This should be okay. Yeah, that should be okay. Hi guys. I can't see who's watching. I have to sneeze. So, yeah. Okay, these things keep popping up. Okay, so I've had an exceptional day. A really fucking exceptional day. And, well, these things keep popping up. Okay, so I need to sneeze. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold it in or let it out. So I can start this, video. I've had an exceptional day, really fucking exceptional, and so I'm going to go through it stage by stage. Just an exceptional day I've had. I've got a big chip in my cup here, and please really excuse me for chewing, it's Nicorette's. So my exceptional day, I actually saved a homeless guy that almost got swept away by the sea. Poor guy. So I'm going to talk you through it step by step, because the universe, my guides lined me up to be there at that precise time. No doubt about it. Absolutely lined me up, and I got there in the nick of time. So literally, I was placed there at the very right time, and it took me ages to get there, over an hour to get there. So I started my day. I'm living in Portsmouth, which is normally I wouldn't share where I'm living, but because of the day and the situation and everything, it's kind of important that you guys know where I live. So I live in Portsmouth, in the southwest of the UK, and I started my day. It was wild and windy out, and I love the beach and the sea when it's like that. Love the ocean when it's like that. And the wilder it is, the more I love it. I totally love it. I mean, I was on the pier and the waves were coming over, and it was just amazing and beautiful to be there, and wild and wet and grey and miserable and beautiful at the same time. So I decided to go and get a taxi. And it's important that I do say where I am, because there's this taxi company in. Well, let me go back. Okay, so I was waiting for a taxi, and there was 3 of us waiting for a taxi. And this taxi company is known for the problems that it has. So there's a taxi in my local Asda, free telephone that I use sometimes. And there were 2 people waiting and me. There was a couple and a mum and daughter waiting and me. So there was 5 people waiting, but 3 really, because 2 of them were together. And I knew the taxi was going to take ages, because when the taxi doesn't answer, there's a queue and there's lack of drivers, and the whole company is just a mess. And it's a terrible service, and it's not the drivers, because the drivers are pretty good. You know, they're there to earn money. They want to earn money as quickly as they can, you know, pick people up, drop them off, make some money, on to the next one. So this Aqua Cars in Portsmouth is a big problem. So I was waiting for the taxi, and I was talking to one of the guys I know there that collects the trolleys, and it's a really lovely guy. And I was waiting and talking to him, and he was saying, oh, you're really crazy to be going to the beach today like this. And he really, you know, thought I was crazy. So, and I was starting to wonder, well, maybe I shouldn't be going to the beach today. So anyway, I thought, no, it's going to be wild, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be extreme weather. So I thought, no, I want to go and experience it because it's so beautiful. So I did. And the taxi didn't turn up, and I waited about 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes for the taxi that was meant to be there within 15 to 20 minutes. And this has happened before. This is not the first time. This was maybe the 7th or 8th time that it's happened. So I went back to the free phone to call the taxi again, and I asked, where's my taxi? I called it like 40-50 minutes ago, and they said it was going to be 15 to 20 minutes, and it hasn't turned up yet. And so she's a really lovely woman. I've spoken to her before, and I recognised her voice. And funny, I've spoken to her before when I've had the same problem. And because I've got such an unusual name of Soma, which I use, and so they they recognise me. They kind of know who I am. And it was the same woman that I was complaining to. Of the taxi not turning up. So she said, well, she didn't have a record of it even. So, and I was maybe, there had been 20 people in front of me, and so, which just goes to show how long I'd been waiting, like 40-50 minutes. So I called another taxi. That taxi came within minutes. It was there. It was amazing, and well, I was very grateful for that. And then so I got into the taxi, and I was having this conversation with the taxi driver, and I was saying how bad Aqua Cars in Portsmouth is. And he was telling me this story. Now, he doesn't know how true it is, but it's probably true. Because Aqua Cars in Portsmouth have bought out all of the other taxi companies. So they are the only taxi service in Portsmouth. So if you're waiting like I was today, there's no one else to call unless you use Uber Cars. And I didn't take my phone, and I don't have the app, and I don't particularly want to use Uber anyway. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I just, I like to pick up the phone, call the taxi, and the taxi arrives, and I get from A to B, and I pay my money, and it's I've done my and it's done. So a taxi arrived, and he was telling me this story of, because I was saying about I'm waiting for a taxi, and there's no one else to call, and it's not, I know it's not the because I was also having a conversation with another lady who was also waiting for a taxi and saying, it's always a problem with Aqua Cars in Portsmouth. They're terrible. And I'm mentioning their names because people need to know what's going on. So, and I don't know why it's not been written about in the local newspaper, in the Portsmouth Herald or local, whatever it is. So this taxi driver was telling me, I don't know his name, so I'm not going to name him, and I don't want him to get in trouble either. But he was telling me that the Aqua Cars have bought out all of the other taxi companies, which I knew already. And I knew that there's no one else to call if you're waiting for a taxi. Whatever time of day it is, whatever type of weather it is, whatever type of situation, wherever you are, if you're stranded and you call a taxi and they take 50 minutes to arrive, or they just don't bother to turn up, or they get the name wrong and then they'll drive off. Anyway, all these taxis were turning up and driving off because the people in the office always give the fucking wrong name. So it's the people in the office that are just terrible. I don't know what they're playing at. And he was also telling me that they're kind of gangster people, or gangster type of mentality, because what Aqua Cars in Portsmouth have been doing, apparently, this is the story that's going around, is they've bought up all the companies, but the other taxi driver companies that didn't want to be bought out refused to sell. So what the Aqua Cars in Portsmouth, the taxi company, has done is gone and burnt the cars out and put fear into people, threatened people, done all kinds of things to ensure that they are able to buy the other taxi companies out. So that's what they've done, but they give such a terrible service, and it's I don't know why this isn't in the news or in the media and being written about. And it's just terrible, terrible service. So anyway, so I got into the taxi. I got to my destination eventually after about an hour of waiting in the cold and the wind and the rain, and it's been a really bad day here. And got to my beach walk destination, and there's a lovely cafe there called South Sea Beach Cafe in Portsmouth. I think I'm getting a cold because but you'll realise why when I finish the story. So I got to my destination. I got a cup of coffee from the cafe, and the people in there are lovely. So I got my coffee. I went. There's a few, like 3 or 4 different cafes and takeaways there, and normally in the winter it's only the South Sea Beach Cafe that's open. All the others close, more or less. And so I walked the few kind of shops or takeaways, and I went round the corner, and I was hit by not literally, but you know, immediately I saw a homeless guy, and desperately trying to pick up his stuff from the weather here in Portsmouth today has been horrendous, and it's the 7th of December today, and it's 5:20 now in the UK, 5:20ish, but it's the 7th of December. And so the wave what had happened, he was desperately trying to grab his things out of there was a huge dip of water where the ocean had come in, and he must have been asleep, but the wave got him. So he had one shoe on, a red foot, one shoe, very skinny guy, drenched from head to toe, and all of his sleeping bags and his rucksack, big army green rucksack, everything was just drenched, literally drenched, and he was trying to grab everything, was desperately trying to find his shoe, and he looked a bit he looked like he was just coming down off something, so he wasn't very grounded. He was just kind of in a stunned daze, desperately trying to grab his stuff. And it was cold, it was wet, it was windy, it was quite dark. I think it must have been about 1 o'clock at that time, and there were not many people around there to help, so I didn't know what to do. And I had my coffee. I put my coffee down and was desperately trying to grab the stuff out of the water and wring it out and make sure that all his stuff was at least safe. And I just thought, I can't do this myself. You know, me and him can't do this ourselves. So I went back to the cafe, which was a few short shops down the road, and I went in and asked if someone could help. I know them in there, so and I've often bought food there for homeless people, or they've actually given it freely when I've asked if I can pay for some food for homeless guys, because there's quite a few along the beach in Portsmouth. So I went back, and a guy called Toby came out, who works in South Sea Beach Cafe. Toby, hi Toby, I hope you actually see this, and I want to say a big thank you for helping us today. So Toby came out, and he was incredibly helpful, and he really did help us, and the homeless guy was very appreciative. So we took his stuff around the corner. I went to get him another coffee, to get the homeless guy a coffee, and then he was thinking what he could do. He couldn't find his shoe, and he was thinking where to go, because everything was wide open and expansive. There's no shelter there except for where he was. And he was actually very lucky that the wave didn't take him completely. Very lucky. It was very bad out today, and I think there's still a storm due, and that was just the beginning of it. So it's going to be quite bad in Portsmouth with flooding and things like that in the southwest. I'm getting a cold, I think, from today. So then he decided to go to the toilets, which are in the park opposite the beach area, across the road from the beach, which is called Canoe Lake. There's a lovely lake there with swans and in the centre there's boats that you can hire out, and then there's a cafe way over there in the distance, and lots of benches surrounding the circular pond, or lake they call it, in Canoe Lake, but it's a pond, man-made pond. And so he decided to go and use the male toilets as a shelter. So we went in, took his stuff in, and we were wringing it out, and took 3 of us to take his stuff because he had quite a lot. And we were wringing it out and hanging it up over the doors so at least it could dry out. And he was getting himself together and trying to dry off, and looking for a shoe, and in kind of a dazed state, coming down off something, I think. And I'm just only saying it that way because he wasn't he was kind of stunned and not sure what to do. I mean, it's not every day you get hit by a wave. It's not every day a homeless person gets hit by a wave. And he looked kind of shaken up. So then when we did that, we went back, and Toby got him some food and another coffee, and brought him that. And then went out. Then we went and had a cigarette, and we were just kind of hanging around. And I think the cafe actually called the homeless unit to come and pick him up and hopefully take him to some type of homeless hostel. So in the meantime, the next thing that I need to tell you is that I went back to the homeless guy. I'll call him, I don't really want to share his name because it feels intrusive, but I'll call him N. So I went back to see if N was okay in the toilets, and he was telling me that someone had come and complained that he was in the toilets with all his stuff. And I just thought, oh my God, what kind of people are we dealing with? Seriously, what kind of people are we dealing with? What type of person? What type of personality? What type of person would complain that there's a homeless guy in the toilets where all his stuff is absolutely drenched, dripping, where you have to wring it out? What kind of a person complains about something like that? I just thought, oh my God, it really touched my heart. I felt so bad for him. And because it wouldn't have made him feel good about himself at that particular moment. And I've been homeless myself. A couple of years ago I was homeless in London, and I know how horrendous it is to be homeless, to actually have to be stood there in the centre of London and have nothing, not a food to eat, not a water to drink, not a cigarette to smoke, nothing. Not a penny in my pocket to go anywhere, to do anything, to be out there. It's pretty horrendous, and homeless people really do get looked down upon. There's a real negative connotation to being homeless, and I was not a homeless person. I was not a homeless person who was on drugs, and many people aren't. Some are. I'd say it's probably 50-50, and then you've also got people who have mental health problems. So anyway, so what happened next? So I was talking to N, I don't want to say his name, and he was telling me about this situation where where the council were complaining, or someone had complained, so they were going to come and pick him up because they didn't want him in the toilets. And I just thought, oh my God, the poor guy, really, my heart really went out to him. Is it not good enough that he's homeless, but he's just been hit by this fucking wave of ocean that came over him, and it took his shoe, and the poor guy's freezing and shoeless, homeless, penniless. I mean, come on, people, what is wrong with you? Seriously, what is wrong with you? I don't understand society for many reasons, and those types of situations especially. So anyway, I bumped into a council worker and another who I asked to phone someone and I explained the situation. So hopefully he did that. I didn't see him directly call, and I had a feeling that maybe he didn't. So then when I saw some other people in the park on a car thing, not a car thing, but I don't know what you call them, some kind of like a golfing transport thing where you drive the golf car type thing. They seem to be council workers or park wardens or something. So I called them over and was talking to them and explaining the situation, which is probably how the council found out, because this happened before the council complained about him. So yeah, I just was trying to get as many people to call as possible so that someone would eventually, sit up and take notice. Because often in those situations, no one can really be bothered. Oh, it's just a homeless guy, whatever. I can't be bothered, I'm having my lunch sitting here with my coffee and stuff. So I then eventually I ended up in the hotel. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's on South Beach, opposite South Beach. South Side Beach Pier. Lovely hotel. The people in there are really nice, and I was talking to reception in there because they know me as well. And so I got the reception man to call the homeless unit. I didn't have my phone on me, and so otherwise I would have used my phone. But so he called the homeless unit, who said they would come out straight away and deal with him. Not deal with him, but pick him up and take him somewhere warm and dry and safe that he could eat and shower and hopefully get a bed for the night. So then I went down and sat down. I was drenched as well, so I put my hoodie on the radiator and took my coat off and dripping wet, and sat and had a delicious cup of tea and a ham sandwich, and then had to then decided to go out and have another look at the wild ocean, the wild waves, because it's just so beautiful. Like, it's stunning. It's amazing. It's just so beautiful. I'm enthralled by it when the weather's like that. It's awesome, and it's so beautiful and so dangerous and wild. And so then I came back in. I'd had enough. It was cold enough. Was wet enough. I was dripping wet at this point, and I'd gone out prepared for a bad day of weather, with hat and gloves and scarf and coat and hoodie and all of it, and boots, and I still got soaked. 2 hoods, and I still got soaked. So then I went back to the hotel and decided to order a taxi to go home. And they couldn't get through on reception, so I thought, oh, here we go again. The only taxi company in Portsmouth, because the gangster style Aqua cars have bought out every other company that was a taxi company in Portsmouth, and burned their cars out and threatened them and put a lot of fear into people. So they've sold off to them. They've sold out their own companies to them because things were so bad. They were forced into selling, basically. And so I thought, here we go again. So I sat down and I waited about another half an hour, and I waited maybe actually no, I didn't wait that long. I waited about 10 minutes for a taxi, and then it turned up, which was great. But there was other people in there. There was a group of maybe 8 people that also wanted a taxi, that I think had to wait an hour or something. And then there were other people. There was another group as well that were waiting for a taxi, and I think they eventually got a taxi. But my taxi turned up pretty quickly, after about 10 minutes or something, so I was grateful. And then so he dropped me off home, and then when I got home, I got undressed, put my dressing gown on, and had a cup of tea and croissant that I'd picked up in Asda earlier. And I was going to have a bath straight away, but I thought, no, I was warm enough in my big dressing gown, big fluffy dressing gown, where I wanted to call the homeless unit straight away, because sometimes in these situations with homeless people, drag their feet and take their time, and I thought, well, this guy needs help now. He's going to freeze out there and get hypothermia, and all kinds of stuff can happen. So I didn't bother having a bath yet. I was warm enough, so I called the I had to Google the homeless unit in Portsmouth, and I ended up talking to the council of all people that had just complained about him. And I spoke to a guy called, I think he was called Tom, in Portsmouth City Council, the homeless unit or the outreach team or something. Guy Googled it, and he seemed kind of 50% helpful. Where he was going to email the outreach team and let them know that there was a homeless man in Canoe Lake toilets, and explain the situation. And I thought, well, I don't know when Tom is going to send that email. I don't know when anyone's actually going to see the email. Emails, maybe they don't get checked by a physical person. So I thought he was only 50% helpful. And then I asked for a number for the outreach team that I could call myself, and he wasn't able to give that out to me for some reason. Of course, it's Portsmouth City Council, and I didn't have much faith in them after they had complained about this homeless man in the toilets. I just, like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Seriously, a homeless guy gets almost overtaken by a wave. Anyway, I know I'm kind of ranting on a bit, but come on, people. Come on. We're supposed to be uniting and helping each other. We're brothers and sisters. We are literally brothers and sisters. Whether we're black, white, young, old, rich, poor, homeless or not. If someone almost gets taken out by a wave, you go and help them, for goodness sake. Anyway, so I came. So then I called the city council, and they were 50% helpful. It was a young guy called Tom, and I could tell by his voice that he was quite young. And he was 50% helpful. So I thought, well, what do I do? I've got to do something because no one else is going to. So then I Googled again, Portsmouth Outreach Homeless Team, and I found a number. I actually called a shelter in Portsmouth, and I can't remember who it was now, but I spoke to a lovely woman there. I don't think I even got her name, but she had said that I described what had happened and explained the situation, and she said that he'd just been brought in and he'd had a shower, and he had just left because they close at 4 o'clock. And hopefully he'd had something to eat as well. So then when I was in a restful space with it, when I trusted that he was okay, I'm not sure if he's got a bed for tonight, because she said that he's just left, and because they close at 4 o'clock, so I don't think he's got a bed with them, but hopefully he's got a bed somewhere. And I did ask, has he got a bed somewhere? And she said, well, we're not allowed to tell you that, which is, it's fair enough. So then that conversation ended, and I put the phone down and just rested in the peaceful space, and went and had a lovely bath. Just fantastic to warm up and then have tea and croissants that I got earlier. And so yeah, and then I got home. So then I when I got out of the bath, was having a cup of tea and a croissant and all of that, and was lovely and warm. I had a lovely surprise, a really lovely surprise. I did an interview. I think it was earlier this year, or it may even have been last year. And I did the interview with Veronica, where I was being interviewed by Veronica Bartolini, and it was a lovely interview. And there was also another woman, her friend, who's also actually becoming a friend of mine as well, called Susan Long. And both these women live in America. I was about to say Australia there, but they both live in America. And so this was a lovely interview, but it just, when I sat down at the computer, she had just uploaded it live to her own YouTube, and it was just a lovely little gift. It was a lovely little surprise for me to sit down after such an extraordinary day, and just, it was like the universe rewarding me. But anyway, the other thing I want to say about the universe and my guides is that, you know, the taxi being so late and me having to wait, and then the guy saying I was crazy for going to the beach, and me wondering, well, maybe I shouldn't go. It was like all the events of the day, they were very much laid out, you know, where the taxi was designed on purpose to be late. And I know I'm complaining about it, but I'm actually grateful for it, because if it hadn't have been late, I wouldn't have been able to help the guy at all. And there was no one else around. I mean, you know, and people often walk by, homeless people, and don't take any notice. And I think probably because I was homeless a couple of years ago myself in London, that I get it. You know, it's not a good place to be. And there are a lot of homeless people that are not, I wouldn't say happy to be homeless, but they don't want to be in accommodation, or confined in accommodation, should I say. They don't want to be in a hostel or to have their own place. And that's fine. But they still need help. They still need to eat. They still need to drink water. They still need to sleep, you know, and do all the normal stuff that we all need to do as human beings. So, you know, next time you see a homeless guy, give him some money. Give him some food. It doesn't have to be £100. It can be £1 or £2 or £3 or £4 or even £5. I remember I was given £5 in London, and I actually started crying, because you know, some people had walked by and given pennies. Yeah, so to get £5, you know, when you're homeless is a huge thing, and it makes you feel better. So anyway, that's been my day. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Veronica Bartolini and to Susan Long. Thank you so much. You just made my day. When I came in and sat down, it was like I was being given a little present. It was like a Christmas present. That's how it felt. It felt all just gooey and swishy. What's the words? Gooey, squishy and gooey. You know, when you get that gooey, squishy feeling. It was just lovely to get it. So thank you so much for posting that, Veronica. And yeah, go and check that interview out, guys. It was with Veronica Bartolini, which is Bartolini. I might see if I can put the what I'll do is I'll actually put the link to that interview up with and in the comments somewhere in this video. I don't think I'm able to do it now, but I'll do it afterwards in a few minutes, because I'm not going to talk much longer. And please let me know your comments about this video. I'd love to know what you guys think. And if there's any people listening out there that are in Portsmouth with money, set up a taxi company in Portsmouth, because we really need another one. But do bear in mind that some of the stories I've heard by Aqua Cars in Portsmouth, you know, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so okay, so I have a comment here, and it looks like they're having a go at me or being quite disrespectful towards me. So the comment is from Heidi Neal, Heidiniel, and they're probably still online. It says, here we go, complain away, spelt Complaina, away, and that's apparently by Aqua Cars. Yeah. Oh, hold on. So I am reading comments. Okay, that's great. So, hi everyone. I've just realised, because I haven't done a live before like this, the way I'm doing it on Facebook. I normally use Zoom and then go live. And all these comments keep popping up. Not the comments from you guys, but other comments. Yeah, that I can't seem to close. They're covering all the screen. Okay, so Parak Danny, hi my darling, how are you? Raven Sirius, hello darling, how are you? And then we've got a comment, I think it's towards me, forgive me if it's not, but Heidi Neal says, here we go, complainer away. And then it's got aqua cars underneath. And Heidi Neal says, jabbed up and brain dead, basically. I'm not sure if that's aimed at me or aqua cars. Jessie, hello. Raven Sirius, thank you for being there and helping him so much. Yeah, my heart really, thank you Raven, my heart really goes out to him. And yeah, I mean, what more can I do, you know? Raven Sirius also says, unfortunately I feel we will see empathy rare with the maxed. Yeah. Oh, Sean. Hello darling, sweetheart, how are you? How are you? Let's do a Zoom, let's do a private Zoom, let's have a chat. And really good to see you. Thank you. Sean is saying well done. Yeah, let's do a Zoom, Sean. And Sean used to be, well, I best not say it, but he was very dear to my heart. Very dear to my heart. And so, yeah, he was a very good friend of mine at one point when I used to live in Plymouth in Devon, when I was a very different person then. And yeah, let's do a Zoom, Sean. It'd be great to see you again. And maybe, I don't know if you guys have any questions. Be lovely to see you, Sean. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything. Yeah, thanks for sharing this, and do come share, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Carol Noonan, the Pleiadian Child. Pleiadian is spelled P-L-E-I-A-D-I-A-N. And these things keep popping up when you're doing a live. That's quite annoying. Yeah, check out that video and I shall put the link up to it in here. Oh, you're at work at the moment, Sean. Yeah. Are you able to Zoom from work? Will they let you do that? Probably not. But yeah, let's arrange to do a Zoom. That would be lovely. And I'm sniffling here, and so it looks like I'm probably getting a bit of a chill or a cold from today. Okay, darling. See you soon, Sean. Let me know when you're free to Zoom. Even if it's only like a 5-minute Zoom. Be lovely to connect in with you again. And my love to you. My love to all of you guys, and especially Sean. And I'm going to go now, so I'm going to sign off and see you all soon. Come and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Carol Noonan, the Pleiadian Child. And I'll see you all soon. Signing off for now. My love to you all. Be kind to each other, and you know, please, give to homeless people. They're not there because they want to be there. They're there because they're in a situation that they're, who knows why they're there, but they're there. And please, guys, if you see a homeless person, give them money. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. Give them food, give them something. And especially in the winter, it's freezing outside. And okay, I'm going to stop ranting on about it now. And I was just grateful that I was there. And I feel like I was designed to be there, and the taxi was meant to be late, and I was at the perfect place at the perfect time. Like within seconds, literally within seconds, I was there. And so my love to you all. Oh, and check out my website, thepleiadianchild.com. Okay, I'm gonna zip it now. Okay, bye.